Hello there, welcome to Target Radio Podcasts. Yes, we have a podcast for your ears. Every week here on the show, on our live shows that is, we try and get an interesting persons, artists, band members, music, poets, film playwrights. We even get, we'll try and get everyone. We'll try and get everyone that's interested in our genre of music that we portray here on Target Radio. So what we do is sit them down, we have a telephone interview, sometimes a live interview, and we discuss all things in their profession. So stay tuned here. This one is an absolute blast. You're going to love this, and I'll be back at the end to obviously, tell you what's coming up in the very near future. So I am the Podfather. I will now tell you that this is Target Radio Podcasts. Don't forget to check us out on iTunes, and if you think we deserve it, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating. That would be rather nice. Thank you very much indeed. So over to me, Cookie, and obviously to Andy Top Walker as well. And sit tight, and enjoy. This is Target Radio.
Dear God in heaven, please let this show go okay, with no major boobs or goofs, or is it goofs? Please don't let me tread all over the intros of records, or say a naughty word.
I listen to Sean Cook.
Oh, Sean Cook.
We'd like to say that, in our opinion, it is not suitable for children or for those of you who may have a nervous disposition.
Oh, Sean Cook.
Do you know, it's the first time I've actually ever listened to my own jingle. How rude! Anyway, thank you very much indeed to the Third Class Ticket Show. Finishing off with, the brilliant Electric Stars there. Great work there. He'll be back on Saturday from 6 o'clock with a brand new show. Anyway, on with a live show now. Hello, good evening. It's Tuesday. Just gone 7 o'clock, 23rd of June. And on today's show, we're going to find out what the difference is between 2 meters and 1. And if someone rings in and says 3.3 feet, I'm going to hit them with a big long stick, about 2 meters long, actually. Apparently now, pubs and restaurants are going to be reopened. Hooray! Of course, if you have been waiting all that time for a nice, cool pint, from July the 4th, you'll be able to have one. I'll tell you what I've been waiting for, a nice cool haircut, and the Barbers is going to be open. I'll tell you what, I look like Neil from the Young Ones. That's why I'm not doing social media live performances at the moment. You don't want to see this. Honestly, it's in my eyes. Anyway, on tonight's show, we have got John Donegan with us. He's going to be on around about 7:30 this evening. And, I've got 2 brand new tracks from him. One set to be released next month. And one in August. We've got both of them, and we're going to be playing both of them a little later. Looking forward to that. Of course, we've got your birthdays, your shout-outs, and some really good music. Something from the old, something from the new. We've got the Sha-La-Las, we've got the Style Council, we've got the Truth, we've got something from the Theme, we've got something from the Kinks, but of course, we couldn't start the show off without being happy. Hey, isn't that right, Jack? This is good. I'm liking this. Well, hopefully he's not going to be boring. Do you know, I've never met him, and I'm already teasing him with a competition now, saying he's a boring person. I'm sure he's not. I like that. Okay, just before we hit the play button here and ask to see if John Donegan's ready, Johnny Bradley's been on. Better late than never, Johnny. And he's forgot one important thing in his life. He forgot to mention it's his girlfriend's birthday today. So happy birthday to Donna, who is a big 33. I do apologise. That is a terrible, terrible Irish accent. But hopefully we're going to have now a brilliant person on the other end. Now, I'm hoping that John Donegan's got a better Irish accent than I have. Hello, good evening. Is that John Donegan?
It sure is. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Oh, I'm very echoey. What's going on here? Hang on. Let me turn me down a little bit there, and hopefully we can turn you up here, and we should be able to hear you. John, how are you?
All right, man. Yeah, you can hear me okay, yeah?
I can hear you quite lovely. Hang on. That's how well I can hear you. I've got all the social
really
distancing
good.
boys here. Now, apparently, from July the 4th, we can actually get more in, and they can all be 1 metre apart. But at the moment, still 2 metres, Boris, so we're doing a really good job there. How are you, my friend? How's the weather today?
Beautiful, yeah. I was out today in a place called Pinner. Had to go to Argos, and very lovely. I should have had my shorts on, but I didn't. But my shorts will be put on tomorrow.
Yes.
It's 31 degrees tomorrow.
Well, absolutely. So I'm just going to move my fan a little bit because it's hitting my microphone and that's making me all buzzy and everything else like that. Right, here we are then. So I've got to make sure now that we've got the right John Donegan, okay? So I haven't even prepared this yet. So here we go. Bear with me a second. I do apologise. I had so many different things here open and Johnny Bradley came on and put a spanner in the works. What's he like?
He's all right, Johnny. He's all right. Yeah.
He's all right. We'll let him off just this once, so only because he forgot his girlfriend's birthday, and I didn't want him to be, in the doghouse all evening. Right. Okay. Now, have we got a gentleman by the name of John Donegan who actually has shall we say, a casual modcast on Mixcloud?
I do. Yeah. It's something I started about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And, it's going really well. Different themes. I do stuff for AB Records, so they release all their compilations, and I'm sport for choice. I just sit there and put out these amazing stuff, and I do have different themes at the moment. I'm sort of working on a lovely poetry one, which is really, really cool. Like just loads of different poetry from John Gielgud and Richard Burton reading things, and Prince Charles.
Wow.
And the next one I'm just working on is a sort of psychedelic one.
Oh, psychedelia. Now, obviously, our friends called the Electric Stars might like a little bit of that as well, because they are very much into their psychedelic sort of music and stuff. But that's brilliant. So I think we've got the right John Donegan, so we're going to do one of these. There we go. We've got him. Unfortunately, on your timeline, about you put actually nothing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, come on, you are a very secretive person. Now, I can tell by your accent, is there a little Irish connection going on there?
Mum and Dad are Irish. Yeah, I was born in London, in Putney.
Okie doke. Oh, you're a sort of South. Oh, yeah, you are, I suppose, South London then. South London, is it?
Southwest London, yeah. Very proud of that. Southwest London.
Southwest London, posh then. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what got you into music then, John?
I suppose my father, that sort of always was playing music, early rock and roll.
Yeah.
The usual thing, radio was always on. They bought loads of singles, albums and stuff like that. And he was into opera as well, so I sort of always had opera playing in the background as well. And again, Irish music, country and western music, all that sort of stuff. That's how we sort of, some great parties as well. You can imagine the great parties that we had. And then things like, James Last, it's always been played and things like that, this sort of like, so it's always been a very eclectic.
That is very broad, isn't it? Very wide, very broad, obviously. Now, I'm going to ask you a question about the country and western side of things, because just recently, I've not noticed it. I mean, they just sort of dropped the western part. Why? It's it's country music now.
It was always originally called country music.
Oh,
and
right.
what they did to try and broaden it a bit more, they added western to it. So that's all it really was. It was just a sort of PR stunt to get the west coast of America into it. So it was always country music.
Gotcha.
And then they added on western, a bit like, sort of, whatever you call it, just publicity sort of thing. So if they dropped it, fair enough. It's still the same music, country music and western music is still the same.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I grew up with obviously my mum, and she used to love a bit of Don Williams, Tammy Wynette, just to name a couple there. And you sort of get into it. I don't know why. You shouldn't, but you do, and it's really some of it is really quite good stuff. I used to love a bit of Don Williams, and then obviously, it broadens your horizons. Obviously, I grew up with a lot of '60s music going on, the Beatles and stuff like that. So, I've always loved music, but I never sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I've never sort of ventured out and thought, well, I'm going to try and make music of my own. So when did you first think, right, okay, I love listening to music, but I want to do my own? So when did you start thinking, right, here we go, I'm going to be a musician?
Very early, when I was about 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
I started to write songs in my primary school, and then done my first show when I was about 8. I was in the Cub Scouts, and I sung for loads of old people at the old people show, and that was it. And I really got the buzz for it then, like And I've been writing since that early age, like
Wow. And is any of your real early sort of material, have you sort of recorded it now with AB Records and got it out there, or is it something on the pipeline or something you might be doing now?
The really early stuff. Well, I found some demos I'd done, just me playing the electric guitar when I was about 15.
Right.
And I managed to transfer that, but it's pretty funny quality, you know what I mean? But it was really funny. I was trying to add things over the top of that. So it's me when I was like 14, 15 playing the electric guitar. Yeah. And then me of a certain age now adding orchestras over it. So it's like going back and helping the John Donegan of 14.
Wow.
40 years later on, it was quite a cool thing to do. So I started doing that, but the quality's not great from the original recordings.
No, of course not. I mean, obviously we've moved on so much now with obviously digital media and things like that, with obviously using music on the digital platforms. It just sounds crisper. I don't know if it's lost any of its sort of wabs and things like that. I mean, it's good quality, but sometimes we do like the raw as well, don't we?
Well, this is raw. This is like a really buzzy guitar and a buzzy one of them old, them old sort of cassette recorders. But I was bouncing things down to another cassette recorder. I was doing loads of really experimental things at the age of 13, 14.
Wow.
So I've always done it, and it's always been like. Sometimes I wish I didn't do it, because
yes.
I really wish I didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? I wish I could just do other things and sit and watch TV. But I've never owned a TV in my life, really.
Oh right.
No, never really sort of. I've sort of moved in with like different partners, and they've had TVs. But I've never ever gone out. When I lived on my own, I never owned TVs. It was just reading the radio and music. That's all I've done. But sometimes, it's always got that trying to finish something off. There's never, that's enough now. I can sit and retire and sort of bring up children. I never had children as well, so that's another great thing as well, I think, So,
well, yeah, everyone's cup of tea, is not everyone's cup of tea as such, so no, that's fine, So never owned a TV. That is really astonishing. There are people out there that don't own TVs, and we look at them thinking, are they all right, But obviously each to their own. Some people prefer reading books, as you said. You prefer making music, which is really, really good. And, you wouldn't be here today, obviously on the show if you hadn't made some really good music. And obviously I've heard some of your great tracks there, and they are fantastic. And we've started to put those on the Target Radio playlist now, which is going down a storm. Your music is really, really good. Now, I was just going to mention Uxbridge train station, or Underground train station, which is a Metropolitan line. No idea why I said that. What are you doing outside Uxbridge?
Oh, that one. No, that was a show I've done last year. It was trying to just publicise Uxbridge itself. It was a business development thing, and there was loads of bands on. And I was just doing a 45-minute set, 40-minute set, and they said to me, John, we can only pay you £200. Is that okay? And I sort of that's not bad money, is it?
No, not for 45 minutes work. Come on.
I know, and it was really nice. I really thoroughly enjoyed that one. And I was just people cycling past, stopping. I was chatting away to them, and it was a very, very relaxed sort of atmosphere. But that was a nice day. I was in my shorts. It's very unusual for me to wear shorts. I was in my shorts that day. So.
Wow, hang on. Actually, I'm going to Oh, yeah, there you are. That's right. Excellent.
Very rare.
Look at you. I know Uxbridge really well. I grew up in Hayes, and Uxbridge was our sort of Saturday go out, get the Piccadilly line into London and down to Carnaby Street.
Of course, yeah. Well, I'm in Ruislip, you know, so that's sort of basically I moved up from Puppy to be with my girlfriend here in Ruislip.
Oh, right.
I do love the area, you know, and also, do you know Huey Dixon? That's all. He's a big musician, sort of TV, radio presenter.
That rings a bell. That does ring a bell. I can't say hand on heart that I do, but maybe. I don't know. But
yeah, so I've been, there's lots of, you know, around, you know, the West Drayton area as well, Cowley.
Yep.
It's very, very big around here. It really is good, and we lost a lot in southwest London. A lot of pubs just stopped doing music and they became gastro pubs.
Yeah.
And we're still sort of holding out here. I don't know what's going to be like when all the pubs reopen, how many of them.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, we are looking now towards July the 4th, but obviously it's going to be a very different sort of look upon pubs and stuff. Obviously, they're going to have to limit the amount of people going in. What I've read so far and listened to is it's all going to be sort of tabletop service. So, obviously, everyone's got to sit down and behave themselves and talk behind plastic screens, I believe. I'm not sure exactly.
And hopefully not plastic glasses.
Oh, don't.
I can't do a plastic. If I'm paying £5 for a pint, I want in a nice sort of Stella glass.
Well, of course you do, absolutely. Other glasses are available, ladies and gentlemen, and obviously other beverages as well.
Before I forget, can I just say hello
to
Henry and Rosemary, and that's Louise and Richard? Because what we've been doing on a Monday night as a sort of family and sort of stuff is doing the Zoom quiz.
Okay.
It's been fantastic for 4 or 5 different sort of households. Christine, Dennis, Sue, John, and Ian, and his girlfriend, I forgot her name for that. So I just want to say hello to them. I know they're listening, and they're down in beautiful Lyme Regis, which I bet is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, definitely this evening. Yes, definitely. Well, hello, everybody. Oh. There we go. And have you won any quizzes?
I was always coming. Well, a lot of them, like, I think John was doing questions on films. And I've only ever seen about 10 films. I can't really watch films.
No, not your forte, the old TV, whatever size it is, you know, whether it's a big cinema screen or obviously a little dinky one in the corner of your room. No, but obviously music, you're probably, 10 out of 10.
Well, yeah, up until about the year 2000, I wouldn't have nothing about Beyonce and
who?
Modern music. Beyonce modern, I don't know. You know?
No, absolutely not. I mean, they took the R&B and I think, what have you done to it? It's not right. How dare you? That's it. I think that's when I sort of like copped out and I thought, no. Unfortunately, because I do a lot of sort of 21st, because obviously being a mobile DJ, I do have to actually have some of this modern stuff. So I sort of turn to the now what I call music sort of series, and they pretty much get away with that and thinking, right, I haven't got to get the top 10 anymore. I haven't got to do this, I haven't got to do that. And then,
I know, yeah.
Obviously DJing at the moment, that's not a thing. It's not happening. And obviously that's all gone up in smoke at the moment. You never know. It'll all come back soon rather than later. Obviously with live music, you know what I do. And, hopefully we'll get back to some normality by Christmas. I'm hoping anyway, fingers crossed. So how...
Yeah, well, I was... Carry on.
I was going to say, how's lockdown been for you then? Obviously not being out there working, doing your stuff.
Well, I sort of... I bought some guitars and pedals. So I was doing quite a lot of stuff on my studio indoors. But these days, a laptop is just enough to do so much. But I've been going to work all the way through. I work for the BBC Archive.
Okay.
And so radio was needed, for the news stuff. So I've actually been going in ever since it sort of it happened,
Yeah.
So the BBC they didn't want me going on public transport, so they pay me a cabin, but it's only just down the road to like Perryville, so Perryville, Greenford area.
Yeah, no, very well.
There. So I've been going in. That's been a real godsend. It's been fantastic to actually get out there, because we did have one week where I just sat there doing nothing, and it really just drove me crazy.
Do you know, a lot of people said exactly the same thing. I think when they went through the initial lockdown period and everyone was saying, right, okay, we're all being furloughed, which is an Americanism word for you're not going to work, but we're paying up to 80% of your wages. Everyone was sort of like rubbing their hands thinking, great, I get paid most of my wages and I get to sit at home. And I think the novelty wore off after about 2 weeks. Fortunately, I was a frontline worker, so I actually didn't experience any of that. And I was moaning my bits off and thinking, I'm so busy. And do you know something? I was so pleased that I was a frontline worker, because I now feel so sorry for those that haven't able to get outdoors and go out there and do sort of like normal things like get up and go to work and things. So I feel myself quite fortunate. So for yourself then, obviously, you know, lockdown, first week, you were sitting on your hands, I suppose, doing pretty much nothing. And then you had that chance to get out there and do something. So it must have been quite a relief, really.
It really was. Well, I sort of volunteered because I live so close.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and I was actually we've got an offices in South Ryford as well, the BBC do. So I was able to work, to walk there, and I was actually saying to them, please, can I come into work?
That is so funny, begging to go to work.
I know, but it was good. I mean, certain days I was off, it was ITV4 would have Minder on, and the Sweeney, and they were like, you know, fantastic to watch. You know, you didn't realise how violent the Sweeney was and how well it was, and how dodgy Arthur Daly is.
Oh, that is so great. Get your trousers on, son. You're nicked. Lovely.
It really was, yeah.
Obviously, I used to watch all of those back in the day when they first came out. I mean, not so much the Sweeney, because it was a little tad violent, and obviously for my little mind, you know. But I used to love Minder because I didn't look at the violent side of things. I mean, obviously it was a few fisticuffs and punch-ups and stuff like that, but it was the dodgy dealings I used to love Arthur Daly for. And I sort of wanted to be sort of Arthur Daly as I was growing up. I thought, I could be a wheeler dealer and stuff like that. Obviously, didn't work. I'm quite happy it didn't, really. Now,
well, the thing about it, there was a website you could actually look at the locations of Minder and the Sweeney, and because they was all filmed in Putney, Fulham and Hammersmith, it's really cool. I know when all the bits are coming up, and a lot of the pubs they drank in were the same sort of Minder, were the same ones I drank in. So it's really weird going back to like 1982, the Coat and Badge Putney, thinking, I should drink. I might be in the background. That was a real time warp sort of cool thing to see, you know, and
absolutely.
And to see, like, you know, a lot of West London, Notting Hill, the Sweeney in the 70s was still bombed from the war. It was still a very posh area now, but it really was a dump, and it was so. It's really funny. You look back at it, you're thinking, oh my God, it was like terrible, like. You know?
Absolutely, but some people like it that way as well. They love this sort of a grey, sort of shabby-looking, litter everywhere sort of environment. They grew up in that, and that's what they know and love, I suppose. I used to watch it for the cars as well. I used to love the sort of Capris in it, and you know, all them sort of things. You know, especially in the Professionals as well, which I think sort of took over from the Sweeney, I suppose. Really, when Sweeney finished.
I could get into the Professionals. It was all a bit too secret agents from Russia, and it was all a bit like, I used to skip that one.
Yeah, it was a poor man's James Bond, but it was so good they had to have two of them.
And they were cool, like,
Right, let's talk about music then. And before we get into your own music, I want to just sort of delve into this modcast, the casual modcast that you've got. Now, one sort of program, which I suppose we can use the word program that you've got on Mixcloud, was Casual Modcast, Not English. Now, what drew me to it first and foremost was Catweasel.
Catweasel.
Oh, for goodness sake. I used to love Catweasel as a kid, you know. That was one of those sort of things you used to feast on after school, and you think, what the hell am I watching here? But it was so brilliant. Obviously, you know, you didn't have a TV, I suppose, watching sort of things like Catweasel and stuff, but it was great.
I would do that with my parents. Now, I used to be his carer. I used to look after Jeffrey, and so did my mum. And he became good friends of our family, and he used to come up to our my mum and dad's on Christmas Day and have dinner with us. So he was,
my goodness me! Wow,
a really good friend. And now watching back, because Catweasel was on Talking Pictures, which was Channel 81 at 5 p.m. So I'll get home and talk about that. And it really was. It's fantastic. And Jeffrey is a great friend of mine, you know. So
yeah.
That's the reason I hate his picture on the thing. So like, Jeffrey was a good friend of our family.
I think goodness me.
He lived to be 93, and he was really. He wasn't just Catweasel. He was his biography of what he's done. He was in Casino Royale. He's just done everything. He really was. Like,
he has. He's done quite a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, I remember him for Catweasel because it was such a really weird sort of program, but it drew you in. It was great, you know. Yeah. Now, the podcast itself, obviously, it's a selection of tracks you put on there, and I've got to tell you now, it's different and it's really good because basically what you've done, you've looked at sort of really great classic tracks, but not in English. Where was that from then? How did you come about that?
I was at the BBC transferring something, and there must have been some programme, and it was the first track I played on there was Up on the Roof, but sung in French. And I thought, oh, this is like the Drifters song track, you know, and I thought,
yeah,
oh, that's cool. And just on the way home, I thought, just went onto Spotify and sort of found some other things, some other songs, and I just thought, oh, I could get a programme out of this, you know.
You can, and you do really well on that. But this is a competition time, okay? We're going to have a little contest. It's only about 3 or 4 songs. Now, you haven't got to name the songs. You've not even got to name the artist. All I want to know is, okay, what language are they in? Okay, so I'm going to play this one first. And I've chosen sort of older ones because obviously of our age group. So obviously you can hear there's, Daddy Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the disco dancing stomping days.
I'd say that's Mandarin.
Not
Chinese?
bad. No, it's not.
Japanese?
No. It begins with an I, and it's not Indian. Anything?
Indonesian.
It is Indonesian. Well done.
Wow,
I didn't think you'll get that one. I really didn't. Okay, try this one for size. Now, it is Indian, obviously. And of course made famous by the Fun Boy Free. Our Lips Are Sealed, obviously by the Go-Go's as well, originally. And it is Indian, but what?
Hindi. I'll go Hindi.
It's not bad, but it's not right. I'll give you a clue. It begins with a U.
Urdu.
It is Urdu. My goodness me. And that was released on the back side of the 12-inch that I actually own.
Wow.
Of course, please, Mr. Postman. And that was made famous by the Marvelettes.
Taiwanese or Japanese. I'm going to hedge my guesses.
It is Chinese. I'll let you have that one. You're doing well so far. Okay, let's see if we can find one more. And everyone's favourite. Who's not covered this? And if you get this one, I'm going to be very, very impressed. Anything?
I'm going Slovakian.
Oh, you're sort of over in that sort of area. A little bit further up northern. Oh.
Russian.
A little bit nearer to home. Anything?
Nah, German, maybe, no.
No. We're sort of thinking more of the sort of northern sort of area of Finland. It's Finnish.
Finland,
oh my goodness me. Oh, you've done 3 out of 4 though. Come on, that is brilliant. I think you need one of these again. Hang on, where are they? We're only going to bring a few in. There we go. Oh, well done, sir. That was absolutely brilliant. So you know your languages.
Yeah, I can't I tried to learn Spanish last year, and the first 2 lessons I thought I was brilliant, and then it got into irregular verbs, past tenses, and informal and formal, and that was the end of it. I just gave up.
Oh dear. So that is brilliant. Obviously, check out yours on Mixcloud. That's John Donegan on the Casual Modcast, and you've done a few so far. And what's your next sort of subject matter you're going to be doing for your Modcast?
Well, I mentioned psychedelic.
Yeah.
What it was, I got Mojo magazine a few weeks ago.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
A Robin Gibb album that he done in 1970 using the drum machine. And like, it's really very basic, but it's like a drum machine with orchestra. So that's why I got into that. And then, but from that, I went on to like listen to stuff I've never listened to, like Frank Zappa.
Oh, right, okay.
Things like that. And I thought, this is and some very early Pink Floyd from about 68, 69. So I found some tracks for that, and that sort of, and then maybe a bit of Captain Beefheart, a bit of prog, so psychedelic prog rock. That's the next one. But I've basically got about 15, 20 songs already in a playlist. It's just like finding the, it takes a bit of time, It's not just playing the records, it's talking in between and making sure that it's all okay,
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, everyone wants a little bit of trivia around each sort of song, obviously name and shame who it is, and then, maybe a little bit of the back catalogue stuff, what they've done, what they're doing, and, some people actually like catalogue numbers, my goodness sake. I mean, I know the BBC do. Everything you play, you've got to put the catalogue number down.
Well, that's how all the albums are actually in order, basically. It's catalogue numbers.
I know.
Beatles, yeah, they do that sort of. So you got to try and find something. It's not like looking for like Mud or Slade, M&S. It is pretty much catalogue numbers, and that's how they've done it, and that's how they sort of like.
I'll be honest with you, it's actually a little easier now because we've got the internet. There's a couple of great websites for catalogue numbers and stuff like that, and I had to do it for a couple of projects I was doing at university for the BBC, a few sort of podcasts that I was putting together, and using music and everything. You have to list absolutely everything, even if you're playing just like literally seconds of it, so obviously the rights go to the right people and stuff, so they get 0.01 of a pence, we spoke about that yesterday actually, with the trend, and they're getting lovely royalties, almost a penny they're getting these days, so it's really great.
That's quite a lot. That's more than I get on Spotify.
My goodness me, yeah.
It's not about that. It's about, I remember hearing an interview with Darren Tucky done when they were saying about the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like Bandcamp's good. You know what I mean? I've sort of not loads, but enough. Bandcamp do give you pretty much, I think, 80%. If if someone spends a £5, you do get £4, which is great.
And that goes towards, and I know it sounds a little bit sort of like cynical here, but it goes towards, for instance, guitar strings or time in a studio. Yeah. It goes towards owning your craft, and keeping everything tip top and everything in decent order. So it all helps. And so what I would say to all of our lovely listeners is that if you put music out there and it is for pence, a £5 for an album, for goodness sake, go and buy it. I mean, it's never going to break the bank. And as you quite rightly said, you touched upon before, yes, we're all aching to go out there for our first beer and a nice, hopefully glass, a proper glass, which is probably going to cost you the best part of a £5. Well, spend another £5 and get a music, a whole album that you can play and play again. It's great. It helps support, obviously bands and artists such as yourself that go out there tirelessly, well, not at the moment, but you have been, to some of these dodgy back-end boozers and some of these really lovely clubs, So where is the best place you've played so far then? Obviously before lockdown. What would you say is one of your best venues you've played at?
I think in the 90s I was in a band called Stroke, and it was at the height of like your Britpoppy thing, and it was like doing Dublin Castle, Bull and Gate. It was just a good Camden sort of scene,
Yeah, Camden is alive with music, isn't it? Well, it was up until the lockdown. It's a great place. I worked in Camden myself on the Prince of Wales Road there, in a mobile DJ shop. I had sort of shares in this disco shop. No idea why. But it was vibrant. It's really a good area, and it still is. Let's be fair. I mean, obviously it's a little quieter at the moment, but it is a great area, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's a shame with the lockdown because I had a couple of nice gigs arranged. One was at the Albany, Great Portland Street, and another one was at Caretaker Studios night, and that was at the Water Rats, which was the Saturday night. The great Darren J. Connett headlining. I was on the bill with Vic Mays and some other bands as well. So that would have been a really good one.
Yeah,
sold out Water Rats on a Saturday night. It's great. Who knows when that's going to... I'm sure it will happen again. But
of course it will, yeah.
But that was all down, I think he's on the show next week, the great Phil Sorrell.
Yeah, we've got him on. We're going to find out a little bit about how he uses his magic, because obviously I'm really intrigued by that, because obviously I'm a little bit of a techno sort of like geek, I suppose. I do like the technical side of things, but I like to know how he pieces it all together, with his sort of ears, really, because obviously it starts with a human response, and I like to know how he sort of like moved from something human into something sort of like on the technical sort of terror side of things, how he pieces it all together, what he starts with, and I
must say the song you played, Bored, and I think you're going to play one later on. That's all Phil Sorrell at Caretaker Studios. Just want to give him some great credit for that, and basically,
and rightly so.
It's a case of like we've done 2 over the internet. So basically, I just put down a basic guitar part and a vocal, and Phil done the rest, and that's what he done for like my first album, Beat Soul Flat, and I've got another album coming out in August called Puppy.
Excellent.
But yeah, it was to meet Phil was it was a very weird thing when we first got chatting to say, I said, Phil, can I play any instruments? He goes, no, I'll do the whole lot. And I was like, what? This is really weird. And and you played Daddy's Ill, which is a really great track. And I was at Bilbao with the girlfriend, and it just come through, and I just fell off the bed. I just went, and burst into tears. I thought, this is like, oh my God, it just sounds like the Star Council, doesn't it? It all sounds really, really fantastic.
And you're completely right. That's exactly when I first played it, when you first sent them over to me, and I played it, I get a chance to play all these brilliant songs before you hear them, ladies and gentlemen, and I thought, oh my goodness me, it does sound very Style Council-y, and I thought that straight away. And I mean, I like to sort of compare sort of music from your good self with some of the really great musicians that we know and love out there that have made it in the sort of business, because I think it's an accolade to yourself, really. Yeah.
Well, it was funny that I've done a radio interview down in Woking, and I gave a lady called Elaine the Bean Soul Flat album, and the following week she had Paul Weller's sister in there talking about Paul Weller's sister done a children's animation book on Quadrophenia. She played Daddy's Ill, and Paul Weller's sister, I think her name's Nikki, just went, oh my God, this is brilliant. So like, she's got the album as well, so it was quite funny that Elaine played Daddy's Ill to Paul Weller.
Absolutely, yeah, and I know Paul Weller does listen to this show. I know this for a fact, actually, because one of his best friends he grew up with, Mr. Steve Carver. Hello, Tufty, if you're listening. Actually told me he listens not only to his show when he was doing the Punk Hour, which turned into a Punk an hour and a half, then it went 2 hours, and oh my goodness me, he took over the radio waves with his Punk show, which was brilliant, and he knew that Paul Weller did tune into those, and obviously he listens to quite a bit of Target Radio. So hello, Paul Weller, if you're listening this evening, lovely to have you on board. And I've also spoken to Nikki, and along with Tina as well, and they did create the brilliant book called Stinger, and I know there's going to be and there's going to be a few more books coming along shortly with the lovely Tina Freeman that does all the illustration and obviously all the brilliant stories, and they're great. They really are great, and it's a great way of getting kids involved in the sort of music scene. And it's will you stop please doing that? Oh my goodness me, that's Tommy. He knows that I'm working this evening, and he texts me on Facebook. What's he like? So yeah, obviously we diverse there. So we've got Phil coming up very soon, and we've also got another colleague of yours as well from AB Records. Now, how did you get involved with them?
Tom just messaged me. I can't remember now, but it's sort of like January, February time.
That's Tom Hinton, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can't remember. I just got a message through. Could you send me some stuff or something? And then it went from there. Doing some interviews. I was in the front of the magazine a few times, and he's put out on his compilations about 3 of my tracks. And he's just, that bloke's just wonderful. Like, his enthusiasm is just like, unbound. It's so that's how, we've never spoke ever. It's really funny, like, It's like, but yeah, it's brilliant. And I think he's got about 35 compilations out.
He has. He's got an awful lot of great musicians. Obviously, you are part of his collective group, I suppose. And we're going to be speaking with Tom on the 6th of July, and we're going to find out a little bit more about how he got everything together, really, because he's like I don't think he sleeps. I don't think he's actually human.
No, he's like a magpie. I've never ever asked him how he gets these songs, but I've become good friends, Facebook friends with a lot of his acts, you know what I mean? And it's great to hear, you know, we talk about country, but this is like real hillbilly country from like Texas, some of these bands. Some rockabilly bands from New Zealand, and so when I do like, you know, the AB, you know, modcast show,
yeah,
I'm just finding these things and I sort of delve into it and thinking, oh, these, you know, there's some like weird, some act from Chile, punk rock band from Chile, and you become friends with them. They say, thank you, John, for playing my track on your show. So it's like, but yeah, Tom is brilliant, and Enigma, I think that's what they did.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. And it's amazing with music because obviously, you know, personally, I do love music from other countries. I mean, you know, I have sort of like gone across the pond to America and there's some really good bands out there. You know, it's sort of got that modish R&B feel to it. But then obviously, you know, it expands from that. You know, you've got some grunge, you've got some garage, you've got a little bit of punk going on in there as well. And we're talking like today's music, you know, but they're really sort of working from the sort of 60s and 70s and possibly the early part of the 80s for their sort of musical influences. So my question to you is, obviously we spoke about music in the household, but you know, who is your sort of musical sort of guru, you know, with writing and playing? Who would you turn to the most, I suppose, is the question I'd like to ask you for inspiration?
Well, when I first started doing the album Been Sold Flat with Phil, I said there's three bands, the Moody Blues, Echo and the Bunnymen, and Fairport Convention, and they're my three favourite bands, and that's, you know, and there's loads of others, but them three, you know, I don't think they've ever put a foot wrong, the Moody Blues.
No, absolutely
Fairport
not.
Convention, and that's it, and I'd go back to them now, and they're, them three bands are like, are brilliant, so,
that's great. And sort of your music writing then, obviously, as you said, you started writing from about the age of 5, you know, and done it in school and things like that. Who do you think is a great songwriter today or from yesterday, really?
Well, I will definitely say Paul Weller. Paul at the moment he's got another album coming out. You can't fault him. He must be the most prolific British songwriter ever. Like, you know?
Yeah.
And then Bob Dylan's new album is totally stunning. He's another one I won't have a word said against. So I'll say that. I'll say yeah. And then I just done a little bit of writing down, and it was about the Animals. Were the first was some band I remember hearing. It was the first time I ever heard the blues. I just wrote down a song called Worried Life Blues, another one called For Miss Colker, and I think I was about 14 when someone gave me a complete Animals sort of stuff, and that's another band I really, and as a singer, like, you know, Eric Burden is brilliant, and Alan Price. And the Animals. There's my four. Right?
Oh, that is fantastic. There's your Mount Rushmore if you want to put those on the on the side of the mountain there. Fantastic. I've just been watching a little bit of the Ready Steady Go documentary that was on many weeks ago. I obviously recorded it on Virgin, and I was just getting around to watching stuff because it is so difficult to obviously do this the radio side of things and compile all of that, and obviously hold down a full-time job. Try and find some sleep in between all of that and watch some really good documentaries. I am a documentary sort of stuffer-upper. I really do like it, and I'm watching that at a really steady go at the moment, and it's fascinating how they put it together, and it's really quite simple. That they just use a basement really, and it was a kids show, an hour before that. You know, it's really quite ironic that they've done that. You know, and I'm really enjoying it at the moment. It's really good. But yeah, when you mentioned about the Animals and that obviously they were one of the live bands that first appeared on Ready Steady Go back in the day. Oh my goodness me. So what's next for you then? I mean, obviously you mentioned about a new album coming out. So what's it called again?
Putney.
Putney. Why not? That's where you're from.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's what it's all about. That Putney was a funny one because being so flat, I wrote all the songs, pretty much all the songs. Phil had loads of songs on his hard drive that he'd been writing over the last sort of 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And said, look, I've got no lyrics to these. I want to see if you can do anything. And he sent me this most amazing lot of songs, and it was just so nice that all I had to do was just write lyrics to them. So I spent a lot of last summer just writing lyrics, not having to worry about chord sequences or anything like that. And it was, so that's basically coming out in August, and should have come out in March, April because of the lockdown thing. It was postponed, didn't have no gigs for it. And so that's all ready. And the third album, I've got titles for that. I'm sort of halfway through that, again, done with Phil, and that's sort of half and half. He sent me some songs that, again, need lyrics, and I've done that, and a few other songs that I'd sort of written. So that's pretty much it.
That is fantastic.
And also, I must say another thing. Sorry, I've got a radio play that it was like my autobiography I was trying to write, and then I just started to like do it as a radio play with sound effects, and that's nearly finished. That is, but that's my life from the age of 1969 when I was 4 to 1977, with punk rock happening and Elvis Presley dying, and it finishes there.
Oh,
Tom goes, that sounds interesting, and so did Johnny Bradley as well. So that is something I'm keen to get out. I was going to send it to Radio 4 to see what they thought. It's a little bit highbrow, but if I can just send it out to people I know and to see what they think, I really like it. And it's just a story of me growing up, wanting to be a pop star. So that's I hate pop music. That's called. That's a long story why it's called that.
Oh, I've got to have a listen to that. That sounds absolutely. How long is it going to be?
Sorry?
How long is the actual podcast going to be on that?
That's going to be 45 minutes.
Sounds good to me. Good length.
I've got it down to that, which is exactly what most BBC plays are. Because I try to so many BBC plays, I know exactly, and it keeps you sort of interested, and stuff like that. And that's great. So I've got loads. That's nearly finished. Punk rock's just happened, and now I'm in Ireland, and Elvis Presley was just about to die. Yeah. And that is where it is at now, and I shall hopefully finish that. All I've got about is another 7 minutes of audio to do on that, and that's done. So I'll send it to you to see what people think. That would
be fantastic, and obviously with your permission, then we can obviously put that on one of the evening shows or something like that.
That'd be wonderful.
Absolutely. Because I think with podcasts, and people sort of like look at podcasts and oh no, I'm not really into podcasts. Some people really love it. I mean, I'm the sort of the latter. I really do like podcasts because I think there's a lot more work goes into a podcast than a live radio show. Because obviously we're ad-libbing here, we're talking to each other, as if you would down a pub or something like that, or meeting wherever in a restaurant over a cup of tea or a coffee or something. So the conversation really works both ways. It's quite easy. Well, it is for me. We're talking about you, so obviously it's quite easy because obviously the subject matter is about yourself, John. So I'm asking you questions and you're answering them. But when it comes to a podcast, people don't realise that you've got to be absolutely down to the final second or 10th of a second to get the thing nailed down. You've got to have a little bit of music, then obviously you've got to have a nice little bit of speech, and you just got to really marry things up. I've done a few myself with podcasts, and obviously Target Radio has their own podcast, which this will be made into a podcast on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. 5 stars, please. But I've made one about myself when I went to university as a immature student, and it was about my life struggles, and it's all about me, it's called, which is rather good. And I sent that into Radio 4, and they did actually they did put it on for a little while through the mental health side of things when they were doing a mental health week, so I was quite proud of actually having that on there. And it had to be exactly 30 minutes. Not a second before or not a second after, but 30 minutes.
And it's funny because I could be sort of in my bedroom, I do all the stuff, you know what I mean? For 2 hours work, you might have only got 7 minutes of audio done for that, you know what I mean? Because it's a lot of hard work, and you're trying to find bits, you've got different tracks, and blending them in, and sort of, so, but this is better than anything I've ever written. This is like, I started this about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. There was going to be a book, and that sort of, and then that just became trying to get it published and this, that, and the other, and then one day I just sat there and just found the script I had, and just started to do it, into the laptop, and I thought, oh, this is really nice. This is really cool, and it's about growing up on a council estate with Irish parents, with this, that, and the other, and everything, and music being there, and sort of, so that's sort of, really sort of
And that'd be really interesting to find out, obviously it will be so personal for yourself, obviously talking about you and growing up and your struggles, your highs, your lows, obviously, your sort of normal day-to-day sorts of running-ins with music and your inspirations through that. It would be interesting. It's a life story in an audio book as such, obviously with some pieces of music thrown in for good measure. So it would make really compelling listening. So can't wait to hear it. I will really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And I do like
really
things
nice.
like that because I think a lot more hard work and effort goes into it. I'm not saying obviously a lot of hard work or effort goes into music writing, because that's the next question I was going to ask you, is about the writing ability. Now, for me, picking up a guitar, I only recently found out there were strings on the other side, and those are the things you strum up and down to make a noise. I do actually have a guitar. I'm just so boned or lazy, or I'm just so mega busy. I just don't have a chance to even try and might find time to actually play it. One day I will, maybe in my retirement. But with music writing, it really fascinates me because how do you start a song? It's really, really difficult. For me, I can't fathom out what would come first, a bit like the chicken or the egg. Is it the music, or is it the lyrics, or is it a bit of both? Or, what for you, how does a song actually start?
The first line. The first line is the most important. Once I've got that first line, then it's not easy after that, but that really helps. You know what I mean? And of course, once I've got the first line, and I'm also proud of the first line of a lot of my songs. You think it just follows on from there, and the title as well. I've basically got for the next album after the next one I'm doing with the film. I've actually got all the title. I put the title of the album. It's called "Everybody's Got a Story to Tell." Yeah. And it was I was at my mum's 80th birthday last year. Okay. And I was just chatting to this lady, and I think she goes to the church and blah blah blah. And she was telling me about when she was 18, she lived in a cave in Morocco with this sort of bloke. And I was just going, and you look at her now and think, wow. And it come from there that everyone you meet, every old person, has got a story to say. You might see them now and think, oh, when I was 21, blah, 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 blah. And you think, God, my life's quite boring compared to and it was that. And all of them just going around chatting to them. I've never met hardly any of my mum's friends, because they're like, I just don't really sort of meet. I go and see my mum, but I don't really hang around with her mates and all that. And some of them no. Some amazing stories, and it come from there. And I just remember coming out and writing down "Everybody's Got a Story to Tell." Yeah, absolutely. That's the next album title. So that's sort of. That is really, really quite simple, but to get to there wasn't, I suppose. Really, I mean, it's sort of there, isn't it? But you don't know. No, I know. It's really weird, isn't it? That is really quite. That is really quite inspirational for me. Listening to what you're saying there, because it's simplicity, and I suppose the simplest things are, staring you right in the face, and you don't see them. Yeah. There's a lady that popped into my mum, Taxi Anne, we call her, a very timid lady. And one night she started telling me when she worked in the pubs in Belgravia in the 60s, and all the gangsters used to come in and all that. And you sort of looking at her now thinking, this is quite fantastic. I never thought that from you. You sort of, I knew them all, she'd say. Yeah. I was just a barmaid in a pub. Oh, my goodness me. And you could, from that, in my head, I can see a story and a little song coming around that. You know what I mean? That's really good, and blah, blah, blah in the pub. And that sort of, that's how I sort of, that's how I write, Oh, that's good. The stories in my head, and then you just put them down lyrically, and you take your time, but so that's what I sort of So you pen and paper, or have you sort of moved into sort of notebooks or laptops, or obviously using an iPhone or something like that? Fountain pen, top quality fountain. There we are. I can only write with a top quality fountain pen. You get your Schaefer out, do you? There's a shop there. What's it called? I remember Holland and Roberts in Eastcote. I go to. I love writing the fountain pens and getting a nice sort of notepad, leather bound and all that. And that's fantastic. It makes it nicer to sort of write, I think. You know what I mean? That's sort of how I do it. And I suppose once you start writing and obviously ideas start flooding in, I suppose it's sort of like it sort of builds itself, I suppose, to a point. Yeah, well, sometimes you'll hear people just say something on the tube or on a bus, random, and you think, That's really good. And so a lot of the new album, Putney, I don't feel, a lot of that was random things, a bit like the sort of William Burroughs thing, where there's just loads of different lines and you stick them together, and you get a good song. You get a song out of it.
Well, do you know, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I spoke to a gentleman, name escapes me at the moment, at university, and I asked him the same question, and he's a lot, obviously, younger than myself. And I said to him one day, I said, you know, this song you've got now, which was obviously, you know, at university, it was about 2022, I think it was, and it's a really good song. And he said, well, I actually stole it. And I went, what do you mean you stole it? He says, well, the story was an actual, real, true story, and I actually got it from a homeless man. I went, all right, okay. And he told me his life story while I was eating fried chicken at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I went, right. So I said, you're obviously going to give him royalties. He went, nah, I never saw him again.
Well, yeah.
And I suppose what you're saying, like, you know, when you hear little snippets of information, like you say, on the tube or, you know, in the pub or whatever, I suppose, you know, I'm not saying he's stealing things, you're just borrowing them and then putting them into, like, you know, a lyrical form, as you said. That is fantastic. So would you say the best music is life stories or not?
I don't know. To me, they are, but then again, you'll get like someone like Oasis. And, I mean, his lyrics are fairly. Sorry if you're listening, Noel, but not very good. And Liam Gallagher's last album, again, lyrics are just not very good. You know, and I think Paul Weller picked it up on that. Said, like, you know, they're not that great, and it's like that. They just. It's the last. Think, oh, this is write down some random old rubbish about get high in the sky, blah blah. You know, and no, sorry, I couldn't do that. They really mean too much to me, like, you know.
Yeah, I suppose it's like a baby. I suppose you're nurturing something that's alive, or, you know, becoming alive. You know, because obviously you're going to put music to it, and then obviously you're going to be singing it. You know, so you're weaning it at a very early stage. So it is your baby as such.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, you know, the words mean.
Stop it.
Definitely for the last, you know, definitely for the album Putney, I don't feel, because it was just all I had to do was write the words. You know what I mean? And
sure.
I started to go to the Globe Theatre on Friday night, Shakespeare, for a £5. You can just go and stand, and then I've never really listened much or heard much of Shakespeare, and that totally transformed me into, like, what words can do and how powerful words can be, like, you know. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've never been a sort of a Billy Shakespeare fan myself. I've never really got a grasp of this, incredible sort of. It's English, but not as you know it, Captain. You know, it's really quite strange, and obviously they beat us over the head at school. You must learn William Shakespeare.
Well, we did at my school. We didn't, but it was more the thing of being there for a £5 in the Globe, which is absolutely beautiful, and what happened on the stage and stuff like that. And but what I do say, it was like our 12th night, you could actually buy a book at the Globe, and it would explain what all the words sort of meant. So we weren't like the old days of the complete William Shakespeare, you can understand nothing. This actually sort of explained lots of things. You thought, oh, that's what that means, and that's what it really was. And I got back into, like, some of my favourite authors, like, you know, William Burroughs and people like that, you know. And,
that's fantastic, though. I mean, that is good. I mean, obviously, having a sort of a translation of old age English into modern day language. I mean, I suppose it helps. You know.
Not really. I still didn't understand what was going on. No! But it was just a case of being there, and for £5 to go and stand there and go, this is stunning, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, there was some, you know.
Yeah, indeed. I was going to say, I've actually got a little treat for you now. I'm going to play a little bit of music underneath us.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Oh dear. It was actually called Busy Boy, but this is the theme tune to Catwheeze. I have no idea why I've got this. Why have I got this? But I have. And I actually find it quite a jolly piece of music, so we'll play that underneath us while we're having a chat. So, before I let you go, obviously we're going to get you to do in your poshest voice. I mean, obviously you've got a really good voice when you're doing your mixed clouds. I love the beginning of the one of your shows where you're just going on about the... you're just so calm and, oh my goodness me, laid back, and you're talking about all this music in different languages, which is absolutely memorising, you know, and mesmerising as well, I suppose. But I love that. So we're going to get you to announce this brand new song. I'm not sure which one is which one is going to be released first, but I played one before, and then we've got the... what's this one? Stop for Love.
Stop for Love. Well, they're going to be the B-sides. Bored. I'm releasing two songs from Putney,
Yeah.
Lerwick and Let It Go. So Lerwick's the first one, and this next song now you're going to play is going to be the B-side. That's the whole. It was great Tom's idea. Let's release 2 songs from your album, and let's put some B-sides on. So that's what
Great
we've
idea.
decided to do.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Now, obviously, we've spoken a lot about your music and everything. Now, obviously, if people want to get hold of your music, John, how do we find you, and how do we find, obviously, the most important thing, your music, sir?
Well, if you go onto Spotify, and I've never told a lot of people this, but John Donegan, I've never ever admitted this, but there's about 200 of my songs on Spotify.
Oh my God! Well, that's your evening sorted out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that goes back to there's a few things from '84, a lot of it from the '90s, and all the way up. So that's a good way of doing it. Bandcamp, I've only really got one thing on there. I've not really got my head around Bandcamp, I should do, but I'm more. Spotify's great. It's easy to do. You don't pay for it really. So yeah, there's a few John Donegans, but you'll see John Donegan, and that's it. John Donegan's got 200 songs on that.
Excellent.
So if you played them all one after another, you could go from London up to about Newcastle, I'd say.
And back.
And maybe back, yeah.
That's brilliant. And obviously, the new album, new release, obviously, is it going to be a sort of a digital download, or is it going to be a physical CD as well?
Proper physical, yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
Big
Ladies and gentlemen,
soul
we need these things in our hands called CDs and records and things.
Yeah.
They're great,
Yeah, the last one was really well received. It was a beautiful, gatefold CD. I don't know, but yeah, if I got your address of it later on, I've got a few left. I'd love to send you one.
Oh, please, that'd be great, lovely, and I'll obviously play those in the future weeks and months to come, because your music is very, very good. It fits in lovely with obviously the genre of what we play here at Target Radio, which is new music. It is fresh and exciting, but it comes from the humble beginnings, and that's what I love about this. Doing what I do, with unsigned bands, and some people are signed. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's really good quality music, and it comes from the heart. Sometimes it comes from an amplifier as well, but most of it comes from the heart. And it's great music. And it's brilliant. Now, obviously, AB Records are there as well for you, so that's a great platform to have, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, it really is, and yourselves as well. But having AB behind all this, it gives you something to sort of Sometimes you get a bit down, you release something, and nothing really sort of happens, and Tom's always brilliant there. It just gives you the enthusiasm to carry on, because it can be a bit something demoralising. You put so much effort into something.
Yeah.
You get 2 plays, maybe not on Facebook, but I suppose that's the way you do it. You put something on Facebook via Spotify, and 2 people hear it, and you think, I've just spent 4 days doing that, And I've released it because it's good, but that's the way it goes, that really is.
It does, unfortunately, and that's why I thought, well, Target Radio needs to be here for, people like your good self, play this music, speak to yourself as well, because sometimes putting a human voice behind this great music really does work. It shows, it highlights the passion behind your music writing and your playing, and, it sort of humanises the songs as well, and obviously, once the album comes out, Putney, and I'll mention that again, Putney, we'll get you back on, and we'll go track by track as well, and we'll find out a little bit more about each track, and find out where the humble beginnings, and is there a story attached? If so, we'll dive into it and find out a little bit about each record. I mean, obviously, with talking to a lot of musicians, some people like to keep it a secret, and some people say, well, I like to listen to make their own minds up what they think it's about. But sometimes if there's a story to be told and you don't mind telling it, it's really good. It's compelling listening, I think, as well.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah,
so, maybe later in the year we'll get this album out and, thrash it out, burn the grooves off the CD, get another one, and then we'll obviously chat to you again, So, for now then, obviously, I'd just like to say thank you ever so much indeed, John, for jumping on this evening and spending the best part of an hour with me, really. It's gone so quick, hasn't it?
I was more worried about the phone connection, because I've never done Facebook. messaging.
It's
phone,
not
you know
too
that?
bad. It did fade in and out a couple of times, but nothing untoward, and we heard pretty much every single syllable of what you were saying, so that is
Okay.
good.
That's
This
all right.
will be, as I said, made into a podcast and a Listen Again feature on the Mixcloud later on during the week. Probably by Friday it'll be on the Mixcloud, and a week after that it will be made into a jolly old decent podcast, ladies and gentlemen, for your ears, which is rather nice. Now, before obviously I bring the social media boys back in here to do a nice big rip roar, I'd like you now to clear your voice, clear your throat, I should say, and John Donegan, the stage is going to be yours now to introduce this fine B-side of this great track, which is Stop for Love. So over to you, my friend, and thank you ever so much indeed for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Okay, I'm John Donegan, very proud to still be doing music after all these years, and here's one of my latest songs. It's called Stop for Love.
Oh, I couldn't have done it better myself. In fact, I couldn't have done that any better than myself. Right, hang on. Where are they? Are you coming in? There they are. John, thanks ever so much indeed, my friend. I'll get these over
Thank
to
you very
you
much.
during the week, and they'll be all yours as well. Obviously, the the recordings of tonight's show. Thanks, John.
Excellent. All the best, man. Good
And
luck.
yourself.
Good luck.
Take care,
Bye.
my friend,
Bye,
and
mate.
enjoy the
Bye-bye.
rest of the
Bye-bye.
evening. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
That was John Donegan, and this is his brand new B-side, which is not being released yet. I'm really pleased about this. And of course, big shout out to John Donegan once again. Thank you, my friend, and we'll see you soon. Can't wait for that great album, Putney. Okay. Next Monday, we touched on this in our interview with the brilliant John Donegan, that we do have Phil Sorrell from the Caretaker Studios. And we're going to be having a chinwag with him about how he performs all of his magic with the brilliant music that he seems to be producing live from his, studios. I'm looking forward to that. And then on Tuesday, we've got Not Ned, a great band from Paul Taff Macy. Looking forward to chatting with him as well. So that's next Monday and Tuesday. Let's find out what's happening tonight and during the course of the rest of this week. Darren Tuck, taking me nowhere. You're going to have to sort your sat-nav out, Darren. And if you missed our interview with Darren a couple of weeks ago, it will be released this week on the Target Radio podcasts. All you got to do is subscribe, and it magically appears in your device of choosing where you listen to your podcast. And why not? And another, from one Darren to another, this is Darren J. Connick now with Red Balloon. John Donegan, thank you very much indeed for tuning in this evening. I'll see you on Friday from 7. For now, though, take care. And I'm going to leave you with these first words of wisdom, wise words of wisdom, I should say. Two ants talking to each other. One says to the other, says, Dad, why don't we get coronavirus? And the other one turns around and says, because, son, we've got antibodies. Thank you. And we're back, yes. And what did you think of that for an interview? Wasn't it great? We found out so much. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining us for the Target Radio podcast. I am your pod father. That is me, Cookie. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes if you can, please. If you think we deserve it, 5 stars, please. It does help with the future of Target Radio. Don't forget you can join me every single Monday from 7 through till 8, and then I'm back again on Tuesday 7 through till 9, and then Fridays as well, live here in the studios between 7 and 8. Check out all of our great shows here on Target Radio, and as I say, please, please, please support local artists and the Unsigned Band. Until next time, thank you very much indeed. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.